In the year 479 BCE, on the fields of Plataea, the united Greek city-states achieved the impossible. They defeated the mighty Persian Empire, securing their freedom and heralding a golden age. It seemed as though peace and liberty were won forever. But history had other plans. The very unity that had saved Greece would soon become its undoing. Out of the ashes of the Persian Wars, two superpowers emerged to dominate the Greek world, Athens and Sparta. They were opposites in every way. Athens, a vibrant democracy, commanded the seas with its powerful navy. Its wealth flowed from trade, its culture from art and philosophy. The Athenian Empire was a network of allied states, all paying tribute to the magnificent city. Sparta, on the other hand, was an isolated militaristic society. Its power rested on the shoulders of the most feared soldiers in the ancient world, the Spartiates. Life was a relentless cycle of training and discipline, all dedicated to the state. At first, their rivalry was one of mutual respect, a competition for influence. But as their power grew, so did their ambition. Athens saw Sparta's rigid control as a threat to freedom. Sparta viewed Athens' democratic empire as a corrupting force. Trust evaporated, replaced by suspicion and fear. Alliances shifted, and skirmishes along their borders grew more frequent. The delicate balance of power that had kept Greece stable was beginning to fracture. This escalating tension finally exploded in 431 BCE, igniting the Peloponnesian War. This was not a war against a foreign invader, it was a civil war. Greek fought Greek, brother against brother. For nearly 30 years, the conflict raged across the Hellenic world, a relentless storm of destruction. Cities that had stood for centuries were burned to the ground. Fertile farmlands were turned into barren wastelands. Entire generations were lost to the battlefield. No city, no family was left untouched by the suffering. In the midst of the war, a new invisible enemy struck Athens. A terrifying plague swept through the crowded city, wiping out nearly a third of its population, including its brilliant leader, Pericles. The plague shattered Athenian morale and weakened its ability to fight. The once unbeatable empire began to crumble from within. After decades of brutal attrition, naval blockades, and failed expeditions, Athens was finally starved into submission. In 404 BCE, Sparta stood victorious, but this was a hollow victory. The war had left all of Greece exhausted, impoverished, and deeply divided. The spirit of cooperation that had defeated Persia was gone, replaced by bitterness and resentment. Sparta, the victor, tried to impose its will on the other Greek cities, but its heavy-handed rule only bred more conflict. The Spartans were masters of war, not diplomacy. They failed to unite Greece, and their dominance was short-lived. New powers rose to challenge the Spartan hegemony. The city of Thebes, led by brilliant generals like Epaminondas, shattered the myth of Spartan invincibility at the Battle of Leuctra. For a brief, glorious moment, Thebes became the most powerful city in Greece. Yet, its rise only led to more fighting. The Corinthian War and other conflicts followed, pitting city-state against city-state in a seemingly endless cycle of violence. Each battle, each campaign, drained what little strength and resources Greece had left. The constant infighting had blinded them to a new storm gathering on their northern horizon. While the great cities of the south tore each other apart, a kingdom they had long dismissed as backward was undergoing a radical transformation. This was Macedonia. For centuries, the Macedonians were seen as semi-barbaric outsiders by the culturally proud Greeks. But one man was about to change everything. His name was Philip II. Philip was a visionary, a military genius, and a master strategist. He took a disorganized tribal army and forged it into the most formidable fighting force of its time. He lengthened the traditional Greek spear, creating the formidable sarissa, and perfected the phalanx formation, making it an unstoppable wall of steel. But Philip's genius wasn't limited to the battlefield. He was a cunning diplomat, using gold, political marriages, and strategic alliances to divide and conquer. He expertly exploited the rivalries of the Greek city-states, weakening them from within long before his armies ever marched. The Greeks, led by the fiery Athenian orator Demosthenes, eventually realized the threat Philip posed. They formed a final desperate alliance to defend their freedom. In 338 BCE, the combined armies of Athens and Thebes met the Macedonian forces on the plain of Chaeronea. The battle was a decisive turning point in history. Philip's tactical brilliance crushed the Greek resistance. On that day, the age of the independent Greek city-state effectively came to an end. Greece had not been conquered by Persia or some distant empire. It had been brought to its knees by its own division, and by a neighbor it had foolishly underestimated. The city-states were forced into a league controlled by Macedonia, their foreign policy dictated by Philip. Just 2 years later, as Philip prepared to lead a unified Greco-Macedonian army against the Persian Empire, he was assassinated. In the chaos that followed, many of the conquered Greek cities saw a chance to rebel. They believed the Macedonian Empire would crumble with its king. They were wrong. Philip's successor was his 20-year-old son, a young man who had been tutored by Aristotle and had commanded cavalry at Chaeronea. His name was Alexander. He moved with lightning speed, crushing the rebellions with ruthless efficiency. The city of Thebes, which had dared to lead the revolt, was razed to the ground as a brutal example to the rest of Greece. Its population was sold into slavery. The message was clear: Macedonian rule was absolute. With Greece firmly under his heel, Alexander turned his gaze east, to the great prize his father had dreamed of, the Persian Empire. What followed was one of the most remarkable military campaigns in human history. Alexander led his armies across continents, winning battle after impossible battle. He conquered Persia, liberated Egypt, and marched his men to the edges of India. In his wake, Greek culture, language, and ideas spread like wildfire, fusing with local traditions to create a new, vibrant civilization. This was the dawn of the Hellenistic Age. The world was forever changed. Greek influence now stretched from the Mediterranean to Central Asia. But the old world, the world of the free and independent polis, was gone. Athens and Sparta still stood as magnificent cities, revered for their past glories, but they were now subjects of a vast empire, their destiny no longer in their own hands. The tragedy of ancient Greece is a timeless lesson. Their endless wars, fueled by pride and rivalry, had bled them dry. Their inability to maintain unity had left them vulnerable. In the end, they did not fall to an external enemy, but to themselves. From the ashes of Greek conflict, the Macedonian Empire rose. From the death of their independence, a new global civilization was born, carried forth on the legacy of Alexander the Great. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey through history fascinating, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more epic stories from the ancient world. Don't miss our next episode, where we follow Alexander the Great on his incredible campaign to conquer the world. See you next time.